Hey, welcome to Let's Fix It. In the past, I've edited these videos for time, but I've also tried to show you the challenges I come up against as I do these projects. In this video here, I've got a little 4 or 5 minute segment up front. It's meant to be a little bit funny. It's in bad light, but it's just the very highlights of changing the strut package in this F150. The second half of the video is a much longer version where I'm figuring this out just like you would do if you were doing this on your truck. Please let me know in the comments what you like about these videos or what I need to do better. All right, so now that we know the order is quick to take apart, the other one goes back together the same way. Thanks for watching. Hey, welcome back to Let's Fix It. This is my 2012 F150, and what it's got is the front shocks are going bad on it. The tires here have a little chopping on both sides of them. I had the truck aligned last fall, and the alignment guy said the truck was perfectly in line and that the shocks were bad. I'm a Ford man, so I'm not going to bash Ford too much, but these shocks are in a strut. This has got an upper A-frame, got a lower A-frame, got an axle running through it, steering rod. There's your axle, there's the steering rod in case you didn't know. I'm not assuming anything about what you know. This is the shock right here, and the spring is on it. And the problem is, unless you're in a shop, getting that spring off of this shock and onto the new shock is a major undertaking. You really should have specialized equipment because those springs are extremely dangerous. All right, so we're going to do this myself. And I bought the strut with the spring already in it. And what holds this on is there's 3 bolts on the top and 1 bolt down here on the bottom. And my dilemma is how to get this out of this tower. First thing we're going to do though is see if we can weasel this thing out without taking all this apart. Alright, down to the bigger bolt in here at the bottom. Now, on some of these bolts, metrics and SAE bolts will cross over. I'm fortunate this one here, a 1 1/16 socket will work where I need, I think, a 27 millimeter. On the back, no such luck. I need a 1 3/16. I don't know what it is in metric, but it also has a bolt sticking out of it, which is keeping me from getting any of my short sockets on it at all. So we're going to go for a crescent wrench and pray it holds. Oh, all hail the mighty crescent wrench. All right, now for the wiggling part. In the video, I said something to the effect of all hail the mighty crescent wrench, and I did misspeak. The wrench I was referring to is this one, and it's not made by Crescent, it's made by Pittsburgh. Crescent is a trade name, along with a lot of other things like duct tape. Duct is a trade name, not a type of tape. At any rate, this one here is a Crescent wrench. I did have an occasion to write to Crescent once because I had a bet with a guy at work about whether a wrench, if you were loosening or tightening a bolt, was stronger pulling against the body this way or stronger pulling against the jaw this way. My argument was if you pull it this way, you're actually pulling against the top of the jaw versus the body, whereas if you pull it this way, you're pulling against the bottom of the jaw and the top of the body. At any rate, Crescent did write a letter back, and they guarantee that their wrench will take equal torque. It will take as much torque this way as it will this way. That's one heavy duty spring. Even on a small vehicle, they're strong. So here's the question. How do we get that compressed? All right, so this was not my first choice, and I had mentioned early on I didn't want to use spring compressors. But here we are, struggling. So, I'm gonna put spring compressors on it. You'll notice if you're safety conscious, I didn't have a jack stand under this truck anyhow, and I should have put one under it. That's the right thing to do. So what we're going to do is put a jack stand under this truck and use the jack to pick up on the A-frames and kind of manually compress this spring before I put the spring compressors on it. All right, so the jack stand's in place. All right, now what I'm going to point out is that I can't get these to even sides just because of the limited space up here. I might move this one up to this next coil and see if I had to give me a room to go around. What happens is you compress the spring all on one side, and that makes the spring want to lurch off to one side and not compress straight. It's real important when you're using compressors like this that you compress that spring as straight as possible. See, what's going to happen by doing it this way is I'm going to run out of room for the bolt up there on the top. Hopefully I get enough compression before that becomes a problem. See, I've already ran out of room up here. The bolt is hitting this tower. I can't tighten that anymore. So let's hope when we let this jack down that I've got enough of this compressed that the bottom of this shock will come out. All right, let's see what else can I do here. I'm thinking strongly about popping this upper A-frame loose and seeing if that'll let me drop this any further. If I can drop that, that'll alleviate having to take the tie rod end out also. the hell is that about? It's never a good sign when a nut stops turning, taking it off. That means something's wrong with the threads and you need to stop what you're doing and clean those threads up. All right, let's try this again. By hand. If you force a nut off over top of bad threads, what it'll do is seize the threads on the nut and the bolt, and you'll never get it apart. So it's real important if you get taking a nut off and it starts to seize coming off, you stop, put it back on, clean the threads off, add some oil to it, and do it by hand. All right, I'm gonna try and pop this loose, but since we're reusing this joint, we will not hammer on this without the nut on the end of the thread. That protects the threads. All right. We're gonna go one last route. We're gonna take the sway bar loose and see if we can get any more drop in this lower A-frame. Hey, here's something I noticed while looking at the top of this. These bolts from here to here are about 4 1/4 inches, and from here to here they're about 3 1/2, and again with the 4 1/4. So this part here is indexed, which is going to affect where I put these coil compressors on. If I put them on the wrong side, they're going to be in the back and I won't be able to get this in. So what I've done is I've looked at the truck. The two closer holes are to the back. So I've got to get this thing turned around so those bolts will go right in. Oh, darn it, just keeps getting harder. I'd like you to notice on these spring compressors right here, the arc in these rods. It takes a lot of compression to bend a 3/4 rod like that, okay? And they're flexible, but they're not something you're going to bend without a ton of pressure. These coil springs have a lot of pressure and they are dangerous. All right, now before I take the spring compressors off, hope you've seen how that all fell in there real nice and slick like that. Unintentional like. You never know when things are just gonna fall together. I need to find the bolt for this slower shock. What I don't want to do is let this loose and have this drive down into there where I've got to fight this to get it back together. Right now I can use the jack to lift the A-frame up to line this bolt up. It's love taps, okay? Perfect. Now, if you didn't see it, the top is in and the nuts are on. So they're in place. Is that not the right nut? That's not the right nut. All right. There's the right nut for that. All right. I think the problem is I got the jack on the lower ball joint and I'm fighting the weight of the truck. So we're gonna move the jack over just a skosh. There we go. Pick up more on the A-frame. Pull that down there. Get this nut on. All right. We'll get the nut on the back side of the shock mount. For all practical purposes, this is back together. So I'm gonna turn the video off while I tighten bolts. All right, on a 2012 150 XLT, that's how you change the strut package. This is not the walk in the park that the parts guy said it was. There's a little more to take apart to get that in and out, and some of these bolts are big. But if you're an average mechanic, I think you can handle this. The other side is exactly the same and went much quicker once I figured out how this all was coming apart. So that's how you fix it. Thanks for watching my channel. Please follow and share the video. Thanks.